Hey guys, it's Penelope in London, and what I want to do today is to talk about Mercury in aspect to Chiron, or Chiron in aspect to Mercury. So what we have is, with Chiron, we have our hypersensitivity, our wound, our imprints. Chiron, if we just have a look here, I will show you. Chiron, mine at birth was 25 degrees conjunct my Saturn, and also in a conjunction with my IC, which is the deepest part of the chart. I've got it in the 4th house, which is to do with mother, father. It's to do with the family and the home, and the wound would have been for me there, and also restrictions, so that it was, quite hardcore, this placement played out through my life. Chiron takes 49 to 51 years to go around the chart. When you get to age 49 or 51, you will have Chiron, which will hit your natal Chiron, and then Chiron moves slowly, so it's like a pendulum, because it goes retrograde every year for 5 months. So when it generally hits our Chiron, then it will sort of linger. It will go, often go retrograde, and then it will go over it again. So it gives us time to sort of digest what it's telling us, which is really useful. It can be hard, but the more we understand astrology, the easier it gets. I want to show you here. I'm just going to make this bigger. So if you go to astro.com, and you have your time, date, place of birth. Time is of the essence when it comes to astrology, within 15 minutes. But generally, if you get stuck with that, I do charts, so you can ask for my help, book a session with me, and I can show you how you can work this out. But generally at the moment, we've all got PTSD to some degree, and people have got complex PTSD, which are numerous events from childhood that have not been healed. And that's part of the work that I do, helping people to resolve those woundings that hold us back in life. You can see here that my natal Chiron at birth, it trines my south node, which is past life. It is sextile to my north node. So you see here Chiron, that's a trine to my south node, and it's also sextile to my north node, which you can see here, sextile 25 degrees. My north node is 25 degrees. And also it's opposition, my Pluto, trine to my Neptune, conjunct my Saturn, which I just explained to you there. That's a conjunction. It's quite powerful when planets are conjunct, and we have to really look at our conjunctions on our chart specifically. And also then it's square to my Neptune, and it's sextile to my Mars, sextile to my Mercury, square my Moon, and which is our emotions. And the moon actually rules the 4th house as well, if I look at that. And then it's also sextile to my sun. Then if we run down this way, you can do this also. It's trine to Lucifer. Lucifer is the bringer of light. You'd have to do some research on that. Don't be scared by the name. Then I've got it trine to my ascendant, and then also opposition my MC. So you can see all of the activity there. So let's bring this down a bit to 100 there, so you can see 100%. I made it large. So then you've got it's in Pisces. That's the other thing I want to know. Where is it at the moment? It's transiting in Aries, and we can see on the chart these are the transits here. This is the natal planets, and this is the transit. So then you look where Chiron is, and you can see the degree. So you got 5-6 degrees of currently Aries. So we're healing ourselves over the coming years internally. It's about healing self, and it's healing that hypersensitivity in us. It's taking responsibility inwardly. The Chiron, basically, it's helps to it's where we have battles inwardly, and it's also a gate to our freedom, as we understand it, as we resolve our wounding and hypersensitivity. But it's always to do with perfect timing as well, and this happens through the aspects. And it's the wound may be bubbling at some times, and then other times it can feel easier, but it's the deepest part of ourselves. It's the pain and trauma that we hold inside of us that we can play out and relive, whether it's in dream state or by repeating patterns. We can be unconscious of it until we become conscious of it. And, but the planets, the transits help us to become conscious through things that happen outside ourselves and inside ourselves. And also Pluto's part of that as well, and Saturn, all of the planets. So wherever it shows up in our chart will show us our insecurities and also our pain. But we don't stay stuck in that pain, we evolve it as the Chiron transits the chart. So we've got, looking at aspects, we can look at conjunctions, oppositions, trine, which is an easy energy, squares, and then also inconjuncts, and, there's lots going on there. Semi-squares, we can see it all from different angles. In the fourth house, I'll talk about this for me so you can check out your own. But in the fourth house, the deepest wound is with the family, and it can, it predicts a very difficult childhood and being cast out, which I was quite young as well. It can also be where we might have to look after a parent that's not well. That can also occur. It can manifest in different ways. But also it's where all the placements we need to look at individually and then the aspects to them. But what comes, basically this is integrating the wound as well. So we don't get rid of the wound, we integrate it and we understand it. And there's some great people doing work out there on this. There's Pete Walker, Complex PTSD, From Surviving to Thriving, one good book. Garbon Mate, go to YouTube, check out his on, early wounding and trauma. And there's Dr. Bezel, there's a book called The Body Keeps Score. So, I can pass this information on if you want to work with me, but I'm going to, just continue reading now. So when I look at this right now, what I'm going to do is go a bit further, and I'm going to now show you, I'm going to go to a new share, and I'm going to show you solar fire. So if you look at here, because I'm talking about the Chiron in aspect to Mercury today, I've already done the sun, so you can check a few days ago. I made that video, I think a week ago. I'm going to go through all of the aspects bit by bit. So, like today I'm doing Chiron Mercury. So then I thought, well, I'd bring up my own Chiron Mercury to show, what that means and how that worked for me. So, and give you a few of what these harder aspects mean. And so in 2001, I had Chiron, which was an inconjunct to my Mercury. So what I'm going to do is go 2001 here, enter the date. And in 2001, you can see Chiron at 27 degrees. And you can see my Mercury is at 23 up here. So you can see on my whoops, actually, what I need to do is show you. I've just come out of that actually. So I'm going to stop share, and I'm going to come back with what I want to show you. Okay, so I didn't have this chart ready, so this is the one I wanted to show you. This is called a bi-wheel. In the center, you can see my natal planets. Remember I told you my Chiron, Saturn's there. And this is on the outside of the wheel where the planets are right now. So if I go back to here, and we go to 2001, which I'm going to do. And what I'm going to show you is that Chiron there was 26 and Mercury was 23. So what I want to do now is go back by 23 here. So what you can see, this from here, it was in Sagittarius. And if we count forward, each house is 30 degrees on average, or each sign, not house. A house will vary depending on our rising sign. But we can see that when it was this angle here, this angle to there is 150 an inconjunct. And what that means is that I'm going to read to you what that means. So an inconjunct, Chiron inconjunct Mercury, it's a time of letting go of grudges that you have held in order to pave way for a new rewarding activities. And it may be that you have to literally say goodbye to projects or friends, to simply let go of old patterns of communicating. So I did let go of some things then quite severely. I remember letting go of a relationship and some people, and that would have gone retrograde and whatever. So that would have gone on for a period over from January 2001 until September, the end of the year 2001. And then the next one would have been that I would have had a semi-square to in 2002. So the reason I'm showing you this is so that you understand how the aspects work. So now I'm going to 2002, And then what would have happened was I would have had it as semi-square, which is 135 degree to my Mercury. So from here to my Mercury, it would have been 135 degrees. So what does that mean when that happens for us? It's where we try and hard to express ourselves and our true intentions, but we can feel it's of little of use. Either words come out the wrong way, or the others just don't seem to understand us. So I felt very misunderstood during that period, if I'm honest with you. 2002, I did feel misunderstood by the world. And it's like where you want to, have verbal expression, but you feel affected. And also it's where there was some frustration with, communications and contracts and stuff like that. So if I go back to just thinking about this, how old I was then, 2002, 18 years ago, and we take the whole chart into account. Obviously, we never look just at one aspect. But if I look back, I would have been 36, and I was going through massive change at that time. A brilliant time. I walked away from a lot of an old lifestyle. And then what would have happened, which would have been quite lovely for me, I know I said the hard aspects, but I'm going to give you a nice one to cheer us up. If I go to 2004, I would have had a beautiful trine to so you see here 2004, I would have had a trine to my Mercury. I'm going to go a few months ahead. So if we go 1, 2, so it would have been a beautiful trine. So what does a Chiron trining to Mercury? So it's opportunities abound for you to explore new ways of communicating your thoughts and ideas. If we choose to take notice, that is, it was a good time to, deal and forget some of my older wounds and to open up communication lines with others, and also a feeling of being intuitive and being sensitive to the needs of others. Also being provided with the opportunity to learn and lend a sensitive ear to other people's troubles, and also new insights and new understandings, despite feeling vulnerable. So in 2004, and that was 16 years ago, so I would have been 38 at that point. Then what would have happened in 2009? That would have moved on, and the next one would have been 2009, the next hit. So in 2009, you can see there 21. So if we go a month forward again, 23, to Mercury there, that would have been a square. So squares, attention, and that's a time of painful communications in which we're being forced to face truth. There can be hurtful words from others, or, discovering a few home truths for ourselves, because Mercury is communication, it's left brain. It's also possible that, that you have to make painful decisions, and you have to delve deep inside yourself, because Chiron is the internal wound, from imprints. And also it could be, to do with study that could be stressful. And through the mental stress, we can experience an ultimate sense of healing. So through stress, we begin to heal, which is a really good thing to understand. It's not all doom and gloom. And we gain a greater sense of our own abilities in this area of communications, and a greater understanding of those close to us, and discovering writing talents as well, which I did as I, moved through my life. So that was 10 years ago. So, I began to get into poetry, and I began to get into studying many, many books, spirituality and stuff. Brilliant, time once not with the square, but a brilliant time anyway. Not with the square being easy, but I did begin to write. I began to really delve into my mind. So when I say it's a beautiful time, although that square was really difficult, it gave me a lot of gifts, because I really began to dig deep. Don't want to confuse you there, because I just did the trine, and Mercury is still retrograde, so I shall let myself off the Mercury retrograde hook. Then we got the next one that I have is 220, so that was 210. So then Chiron sort of stayed off my Mercury, and then in 2020, which is now, let's have a look at this, where we are now. So you can see that we got Chiron here, and we've basically, as it's moving in, it moved in 30th of May, and then August 2020, I had it semi-square, which is a 45-degree angle to, if we go forward, We're going to go to May there. So when it was 8 degrees, let's go forward, 8, it's 45 degrees from my Mercury. And what does that be, what does that be meaning for me? Because it has gone retrograde and then it will move off, shortly. So it's where you try hard to express yourself and your true intentions, but of little use. So I have had a couple of situations where I've been trying to express my true intentions, but it has been of little use, which has been really interesting. But as that's sort of worked through, I've now, been doing my internal work. And also there's other things going on in the chart. It's not just one thing. Like, if you take that Neptune there, that Neptune, which is beyond this realm, is trying to my natal Neptune, so there's spirituality going on there. There's so much going on in a chart, so don't just look at one aspect. You have to integrate the whole chart. But with this semi-square, either your words come out the wrong way or others don't seem to understand you. So I feel like I've been misunderstood, particularly since the whole COVID thing kicked off, in a few personal relationships. This can be quite frustrating, as you know what you want to communicate, but it just doesn't seem to be effective. It is not just verbal expression which is affected. Written contracts, communications, and delayed put to the point of frustration. So yeah, I've been feeling frustrated, which is interesting, and that's pointed that out to me today. But I want to show you what's happening with this. If I go a month forward, so that's 8 degrees. So if you take the 23 and then you take 30 and then you minus 8, that you'll see, get out a calculator if you want to figure out your own chart, you'll see that is a semi-square. So if I go a month ahead, Chiron's goes to 9 degrees, and then it goes to, it's still at 9, and then in September, that I've had that, haven't I? Of course, it went retrograde, that's right. So let's watch this go forward. Watch the Chiron here, and then it will move off. 10 degrees is going to move off, and by the end of this year, and then it'll be, it'll go into a different aspect. Chiron will go into a different aspect with my Mercury. That's all we're looking at today. The aspects to Mercury. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that, and if you want me to help you understand your transits or look at your chart, I've got the ability to do that. I use solar fire, and I'm basically, know that we've got a lot of trauma in society right now that's being created because of the COVID and the aspects with the Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter. But you can see in this chart, the collective chart is moving off here. Pluto's going to be on its own eventually for a little while, which is going to be nice. This chart I'm showing you is May 2021. So let's go back to now, which is 1st of November. And we can see that we've got the Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter all conjunct here. And Saturn and Jupiter are going to be 0 degrees in December 21st. They're going to move into the sign of Aquarius. Okay, that's it for today. Catch you later.